what's going on in Cleveland, I cannot believe that Joe Flacco is, let alone winning in the NFL, just playing right now. Because
he's dominating.
I mean, he's the best quarterback in football right now.
A year ago, he was on the, he's making a couple of starts for the Jets, and he looked dead. Honestly, I had no idea he was even on a roster to start this season.
You just go to the Jets to die.
Yeah, you do go to the Jets. It's a miserable place to be. It's got to be a little weird for you though, Jack. Right, watching this guy. It's like watching, I guess, Aaron Rodgers for me. But Rodgers has been so good still. It's like Joe Flacco having this resurgence. Are you enjoying it as a Steeler fan?
I love it though. I'm rooting for him,
even though he's on the Browns.
Like Joe. We grew up watching Joe Flacco and Big Ben have these battles. And I always used to say that I used to go to a ton of Steelers games, and Joe Flacco was the only quarterback who would come into our stadium when we were legit, when the stadium's rocking, it's going nuts.
Oh, I remember.
And he's the only quarterback who would go in there and it's like nothing to him, unfazed, and he'd go in there and beat us multiple times. It was amazing. But no, to see a guy who I've just watched for so many years, a couple times a year, and honestly didn't hate, now to see him like having this rejuvenation and playing really well, I like to see it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm rooting for
He had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Against one of the best defenses in football in the first half, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like what?
And he was falling asleep on the sideline.
That's the best game of his career.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought that's what he was doing. I thought he was, an old quarterback who was just sitting there to be a sage and no longer able to do this.
Joe Flacco's rookie year when he went to the AFC Championship game, when he played in Pittsburgh, and he threw the pick 6 to Polamalu to end the game. I remember I was saying, this guy's going to be really, really, really good. And he had his one very good year. They won the Super Bowl, but kind of backed by that amazing defense. And then kind of just, I was upset when Lamar came in and Joe Flacco was kicked to the curb a little bit. And that was kind of the end of Joe for a while. And I like Joe Flacco. And now just to see him back, like I want nothing more. I'm telling you, I want nothing in the world more than for him to go into Baltimore and knock off the Ravens in the playoffs. I want nothing more than that. So I'm rooting hard for him. I'm rooting harder for Cleveland than my own Steelers.
At this point,
because,
oh, wow.
Because I think that Cleveland and Joe Flacco can go into Baltimore in the playoffs and win. What a story that would be. We lose 70-0, so I don't even care to see that. But I want Captain Joe to go in there and win that game. Because you remember, John Harbaugh, they told him, no, we got Lamar, like, you're done now. Kicked the guy to the curb, kicked our Super Bowl winning quarterback to the curb for Lamar Jackson, and now
what a
he's
horrible
back.
decision.
And now he's back, and he's gonna beat Lamar in the postseason, baby. I'm all team Joe. I'm all team Joe.
There's just something so magical about this. I don't know how long it's gonna last. I remember we ran a segment when the Browns first signed Joe Flacco, and I pointed out that his second most recent win from when he was signed was with the Broncos in 2019, like week 6. And suddenly this guy's coming out. He's not perfect, but he understands the assignment in Cleveland. Play hard, play aggressive, complete some passes, get some big touchdowns, make Amari Cooper look like an NFL record-setting wide receiver.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we all sat back and said, Joe Flacco, whatever his first game was, I can't rember. We all sat back and said,
Joe
Flacco's playing this game. There's no way in hell I'm picking the Browns.
No, he's my type of quarterback, though. Like a 2010 quarterback, big gunslinger, stand in the pocket, whip the ball over the field. I mean, I love that. So
look, if they're locked into the 5 seed now. If this Browns offensive line can keep playing, the receivers can get healthy, because they're going to give a lot of guys off next week, I imagine. Would it be a shocker if the Browns go into the AFC South winner like the Jaguars and win?
No,
absolutely not.
I will say this right now. I believe that there is value on the Cleveland Browns to win the Super Bowl.
Do you know what the number is?
I don't know what the number is, but it's got to be outrageous, right? It's got to be an outrageous number.
They're pulling it up right now. Browns to win the Super Bowl. I can't believe after Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb goes down, we're sitting here week 17 looking up Browns Super Bowl odds.
But you have
an
unbelievable
Browns are plus 3,500. I don't think there's value there.
You have an unbelievable defense, one of the best in football. You have a quarterback who has won a Super Bowl and now is playing better than he was playing that season. Amari Cooper seems to just love this guy because he's now amazing. There's value on this team.
Yeah, and they put up those points last week against the Jets without Amari Cooper.
But
as
look
well.
what their path would be. Like, you go to the AFC South winner. That's a winnable game. Then
Let's
you
say
have,
the Jaguars. I'm imagining the Jaguars beat the Titans.
Jaguars. They could be the Jaguars. And then you have Joe Flacco's superstar revenge game in Baltimore. He can go in there and win. That's an AFC.
Wouldn't they play the 3 seed first?
No, they'd be the 5.
Well,
so you play the 4.
Imagine Kansas City would probably win and then play
So
Buffalo or Miami.
I'm saying they go 4-1-2. I'm just saying it's all chalk. I'll say 4-1-2. But you go to the AFC South winner, Jacksonville. They could win that game for sure. Then it's Baltimore.
Where they already
North,
beat Baltimore.
Yes. AFC North, chippy, hard-fought game.
Those games are always close.
Always close. And then Miami.
Or Buffalo.
Winnable.
Yeah, Miami or Buffalo.
I think there's value on the Browns. I really do. I think Joe Flacco's got it right now. The best defense in the league.
To me, it seems like a situation where this is an unbelievable, magical run. And somewhere within the next week or two, he's just gonna fall apart. I can't see him going on our playoff run.
It would have been a magical.
I'd love to. It's just hard for me to envision it.
He's won 4 games in a row?
Yeah, they've won 4 games.
I don't think that's some magic. I think he's a decent quarterback with a very good defense. I think it's a very good team.
They're locked into 5 seed. Whatever you do, don't play Joe Flacco next week because whatever amount of like fairy magic he's gotten him, there's a limited amount. You got to just save every bit of it you can for the playoffs. And I mean, look, we've seen less probable runs than this, right? We saw Nick Foles take over the Eagles and take them to a Super Bowl. And in the NFL, anything can happen when you've got a great defense. So we'll see what happens.
The last time Joe Flacco had a ferocious defense, he won a Super Bowl. Probably has better weapons now.
If Joe Flacco wins the Super Bowl, maybe he's a Hall of Famer.
They probably have better weapons. I still... When I walked into my basement the other day, I was catching up on the games, and I just saw Flacco throwing up a fist bump up 34, whatever. I was like, holy crap, are they?
He's good.
Yeah. What were you talking about them possibly getting the 1 seed if the Dolphins had won today? Last question on the Browns here, and I want this to be civil because we've gone back and forth on this before, just on Joe Flacco. When it comes to comeback player of the year, do you think he should win the award?
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
I think I'm still in the DeMar Hamlin camp here, but Joe Flacco is making me consider switching over.
Comeback player of the year is not most improved player, right? Joe Flacco came back from being kind of bad. DeMar Hamlin came back from dying.
That is true.
Yeah, look, there's nothing in the world that I wanted more than DeMar Hamlin to come back healthy, and I'm super happy that whole thing is over and he's back now again playing football and everything is okay. But I believe that the award should be won by having good performances on the field. Hamlin has not played.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not a most improved player award. What's a harder thing to come back from, right? Being kind of bad at football or the grave.
I know, but he hasn't played football.
Yeah, no, I understand. The side of Jack's argument is that Joe Flacco is a comeback player of the year to some degree. You have to include actually coming back and playing
and putting
good
up
football.
putting up numbers.
It's not necessarily just the fact that Joe Flacco is, playing football, but DeMar Hamlin, the one exception I might make to the rule
is that he was dead.
Is that he actually died. Like, it's not like
on an NFL field.
Yeah, it's not like DeMar Hamlin had his leg twisted around and it's a miracle that he's walking and he somehow played. The dude was dead on the field, and that could be the exception.
I think all he needed this year was just 1 interception, and he wins comeback player of the year. But he doesn't have stats.
Yeah. All I'm saying is there's enormous value. If you talk about value, there's enormous value on DeMar Hamlin comeback player of the year.
Well, he's
the favorite, right?
What's he at now?
He's minus 140.
Yeah, minus 140. Well, remember to start the year, he was what, minus like 50,
he's like minus 20,000.
20,000.
I think so. There's some value on Baker Mayfield.
Look, if you want to give it to most improved player, you don't give it to Joe Flacco. You give it to Baker Mayfield.
Most improved.
Yeah, if that's how you want to see the award, because Joe Flacco's put together like 4 or 5 good games. Baker Mayfield put together an entire comeback season after being left for dead.
Yeah, last season people were, watching that Rams comeback win, and whatever the night game was, and they were like, "Wow, Baker could really still sling it, or maybe." And now this season, a probable playoff run. This Joe Flacco stuff is so fun to watch, though. I am really enjoying the Cleveland Browns somehow. And a little shout out to our friend Christian Lee, who listens every once in a while. He's a big Browns fan.
Last thing I'll say about Joe Flacco is, of course, he wasn't going to succeed in New York because there's never going to be another Broadway Joe. But Main Street Joe, in the AFC North, playing for the Ravens and the Browns, two honest, hardworking American franchises, not like those damn Yankees. That's where Joe Flacco thrives.
It's one of the best stories in sports this year, Joe Flacco.